Hey Dave, good on you, man. How cold is it in Cape Town?
It's apparently a really nice day outside.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's sunny. There are contractors destroying the outside of my building, so it's noisy. It's all good.
Okay, jeez. I woke up this morning to ice on my car. I had to use my little Spar Rewards card to get all the ice off. I was like, what is going on here?
It's
But
like
it
being back in the
was,
UK.
I know, and I think it's going to last the whole week. But hey, kids are back to school. Logan and Skylar have gone. So Simone and I can actually get some work done now, which is good.
I can go to the shops and buy a beer this afternoon.
Yes, yeah, alcohol stores are open. So I almost feel like it's back to normal. My kids are at school. I'm not
Really?
sick anymore. It's cold, but that's okay. And I can just get work done. So
Yeah.
hopefully we have a normal week, Dave. But let's see. Let's see how this week
I
goes.
I will not be holding my breath.
Oh, no. Jeez. Let's try to be positive. Let's be positive.
It's good. Cool guys. How's
Cool.
everyone in chat? See, there's one person popping in over there. That's Up Connect. How's it, guys? So, guys, in the chat box, let us know where you're joining from. Say hi, hello. If you have any questions, we can get into those in a bit. Otherwise, Drew, in terms of some news, what's been happening recently?
Yeah, I mean, July for me was a very up and down month, as you know, with COVID.
Mm,
And then I went away for a few days with family. I did go view a commercial property yesterday. One of my students in Pretoria found a deal that I actually, and I know this, I know the area quite well. The guy's asking 2.2 million. It's commercial, it's residential, zone residential, using it for his business. It's got potential. It's got the garage that can be converted. It's got two different entrances. It's in good condition. The problem is, walking around the property, I spent a good hour and 40 minutes with this guy, 2 cups of coffee, really got to know him. I've built a very strong rapport with the guy. But again, what he's asking and what I can get, again, it's small businesses, right? And what is the demand for small businesses these days? Most people are working from home. You get your chiropractors and you get certain industries they need a bit more space. They need a slightly bigger office space. But I mean, Dave, what's not your big commercial buildings, your small residential houses where people are, they're using the garage for that small business, and then they take the house and they split into 2 or 3 offices. I mean, have you had any experience, or do you have any students, or what's your view on that market?
I mean, I've looked at a ton of those deals. I haven't done one yet. I've always skewed a little towards formal size of commercials. At the end of the day, it's a sector that works, but what you need to do there is you need to lead with the right tenants. The one property that I did look at that I kind of, as always, there's always that deal that you lose out on. I really missed the deal where there was a doctor already in place and they wanted me to just buy the house and then they'd rent from me, essentially like a lease
Yeah,
back. Like that would have
yeah.
been great because they're still there. It's like 3 years later, and that would have been the best thing to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's the conversation I was having with this guy, because he's very well connected in the football world. Very, 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 very well connected. That's his business, is football. Those hard hats you get, Dave, when you watch SA football. Those hard hats. He's got the trademark for that. That's
Yeah.
like as big. And he was talking about, he's got good relationships with the private football clubs. And I said, hey, if you can fill this property with footballers, but the only problem there is it's for kids. You have to feed the kids. You got to transport the kids to school. It's like a mini little hotel but it's good money. It's good cash flow. But it's just like, I don't know if that's the kind of thing that we want to be doing right now. So yeah. So look, I'm getting back on the bandwagon now with regards to viewing properties. I've been looking at Rightmove. We've had quite a few leads coming through our website. So because I haven't viewed many, I've viewed nothing in the last month except for yesterday. So I'm going to be back up and running now and just seeing what's in the marketplace. So let us know, everyone. I mean, Debbie and Jaco's in Belgium, so he can't view any properties, yeah? But the rest of you, are you viewing any properties in South Africa? We've got Amelia there from Australia. How's it going, Amelia? Good to see you there. So we've got quite a few internationals on today. What's everyone been up to? Is anyone doing deals? Is anyone viewing properties, doing deals, offers going through? Any challenges you're facing? For those of you that are new, I see there's a few new people. This is Andrew and Dave's Coffee Chat every Monday. Sometimes we do have guest speakers, sometimes we don't. And this is all about what's happening with Andrew and Dave's property portfolio, your property portfolio. So please, can you all just tag someone you know, a friend, a family member that you know is interested in property, that want to be part of these Coffee Chats every Monday? tag them. You'll see on your Facebook. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a little heart. Like us, share us with your friends. And then what we'll do is Dave will take us through some of the events that are happening this week, and let us know what you've been up to. Are you doing any deals? Do you need help? Do you have any questions you want to ask us? If we don't know the answer, we'll put you in touch with the person that does. And yeah, over to you, Dave.
Awesome, thanks, Drew. So I've got the events team in the background over there. They're going to put a link in the chat box. For those of you who don't know, we've essentially tried to simplify that as much as possible for you guys. So all the events are on one page, so you can go see where they are, and then that page will take you to the separate page where you can book your tickets and so on and so forth. So if not, we'll just share the link. That'll go great. Obviously, guys, we're here at Coffee Chat Monday. First thing is one of the only sort of things we do every week. Andrew and I do this 1 o'clock every Monday. So make sure you've got that booked in your diary if you want to join it. Tomorrow night, Andrew's going to be talking to Hiran from Investors, yeah, about installment sale agreements. So for those guys who don't know, we haven't heard from Hiran in a couple of months now, but installment sale agreements is a really great opportunity for you to go and find properties and a different way to buy properties. If you have issues of affordability, it's a really good opportunity. Drew, you may want to give us some of those learning points that the guys will get from tomorrow night.
Yeah, sure. So with the installment sale agreements, some of the learning points that we'll be going through will be things like, when is the best time to do an installment sale agreement? Why does sometimes sellers like absolutely no way, and sometimes they are more than open to doing it. So when's the best time to do it? How do you actually structure it? What's the big difference between an installment sale agreement and an actual offer to purchase? And another thing that we want to go through are the risks involved. It sounds easy and anyone can do it, but of course there's risks. Nothing's that easy. And so myself and Hiran want to touch on, if you get into an installment sale agreement, what do you need to think about if things do go wrong? And then where do you find these installment sale agreements? Like, where do you actually find them? How do you get your hands on them? And just yesterday, Dave, so here's the thing. I've viewed one property in 3 weeks, and I sat down, and and here's the tip for everyone, Dave. I spent about an hour with this guy. I hadn't walked through his property. We walked into his boardroom, and I said to him, "Hey, can I have a cup of coffee?" "Sure, thanks, bud. Listen, Grant, would you mind if we just sit down and chat?" And what I did was I built that rapport. And part of my relationship building, when I knew I had that relationship, listen, Grant, you're an entrepreneur, and so am I. And as I said, you want to make money, and I'm happy to do something of the deal. But I just wanted to know, Grant, and his name is Grant. So, Grant, next door you mentioned they're doing the whole rent to buy, and they were doing a rent to buy next door. Depending on how this thing pans out, would you be open to the idea of a similar concept called installment sale agreements, where I take over, you maybe finance part of the property transaction? And Dave's answer was, well, yes, if it makes financial sense. He's selling, he's moving to England. Money's not an issue for this guy. So he's open to, and because he has a difference, he's not a typical homeowner, he's an entrepreneur who owns a business in a residential property. And entrepreneurs and business people like to talk JVs. In fact, he mentioned JV first. And so it's just proof in the pudding that, and when I look at the installment sale agreements we've done, that Hiran's done, there are so many opportunities in that space. So everyone that's in the property space needs to be there tomorrow night to really get a better in-depth insight as to how these installments work.
100%, awesome. So as you'll see, I accidentally posted the link twice over there, but the team of this put the link directly for that. So that's tomorrow night. It's free. It's open to anyone. It starts from 6 until 8 o'clock. We should have been a little earlier than 8. Moving forward from that, we've got our Premier event on Wednesday. So for those of you guys who don't know, Premier events are exclusive to our intermediate and professional members. So we give them an invitation to join us in that. And this Wednesday, we're going to be talking about how does PropTech enable you to grow your portfolio as a property investor, which is a really important thing to discuss. A couple of really cool guests coming on. We've got the good team from Expello coming on board. They're going to be talking about how they're really leveraging technology to help you with tenant eviction process. We've got the team from DigsConnect coming in again. They're going to be talking about what have they done in the student accommodation market to make sure that students can find properties. That's really important. Ross from Preferential will be joining us to talk about how Preferential's managing your portfolio using technology, how they're getting their leverage, and how they're one of the most affordable managing agents in the country. And then finally, we got Lyndon from WealthPoint. A little bit of an announcement on that side. So we were launching a platform with WealthPoint in the next few weeks. I'm really tongue-tied today, Drew. But Lyndon's going to be talking about how does WealthPoint help you invest offshore in international deals with sort of just working from home, South African rands, and how can you own a share in a business or in a property internationally. So that's going to be a really exciting one to talk about tomorrow night. Wednesday night. Drew, anything else for the Premier event that you want to mention?
Yeah, no, I think you mentioned it all, but I think what is important is the way we invest in property is changing. It's already been changing globally. And yes, we all want to own bricks and mortar, but there's different ways of getting returns out of property. And I believe as a property investor in 2021, and especially with what's happening in the world, things are changing. The way we invest is changing. So it's also important that people don't just join Wednesday night because of tech, but also join to see what does this global approach look like. If you're a South African on an average salary, how do you get to own a piece of the pie in America or England or one of the other, first world countries, and diversify, own property in South Africa and own property offshore? And for me, I was saying to all the tech guys that are speaking Wednesday night, I want to know, why did you create the tech? What problem did you solve for a property investor? And that's what the conversation is going to be like. So that's for all the intermediate and professional members. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, or you're a free member or foundation, make sure you upgrade, become an intermediate or professional member so you can be part of that conversation on Wednesday night.
100%. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Drew. So, guys, that's the joinsappin.com/education. You can find out more about that event over there. Moving forward, Andrew and I are doing the weekly sort of Investor of the Year Award event. This week, we're going to be doing prelims. So, for those guys who don't know, Investor of the Year Award's been running for quite a few months now. It's really exciting to see the kind of deals that people are doing. And the prelims are the first stage in the sort of entry process and the judging process. So, if you guys have done a deal anywhere since last Investor of the Year Award, which feels like forever ago, not 2019 November, and today, or even by the end of the month, and you completed the deal, make sure that you're entering for Investor of the Year Award. It's a really great opportunity for you to network with other investors, for one, and also for us to recognize the guys who are doing some really cool stuff out there. Drew, do you want to say anything else about Investor of the Year Award real quick?
Yeah, I think what's important, everyone, is that it's the 26th of July. Prelim ends end of August. So don't. And yes, the actual awards evening is the 18th of November, but you've only got 4 more weeks. So if you've done a deal, or you're in a deal, or you know of someone that's done a deal, it could be a very basic buy-to-let. It could be a school. It could be a medical center in a township. We've had all different types of people entering with different locations, townships to suburbs to CBDs to the most basic, easy, buy-to-let to developments. So it doesn't matter what type of deal you've done. We want you to enter into this initiative. It's about transformation, human capital. It's about showing South Africa that there's still hope, that people are still building wealth in property. So even if you haven't done a deal, but you know of someone that has, please can you nominate them? Let them know about us. Give us get permission to give us their details so we can call them. The more people we get entering, the better. So there's only a few more sessions to enter. So don't delay. Just go to investoroftheyear.co.za, go to the entries button, and please enter because time is running low.
100%. Awesome. So, guys, that pretty much almost wraps up for most of this week. The last thing that's happening is this weekend, Leroy Sal will be running a Wealth Builder workshop. So, for those of you guys who don't know what the Wealth Builder workshop is, it's something we run fairly often. Earlier this month, we had Jade up and running one, Leroy's running one, and Andrew run another one next month. But the Wealth Builder is really targeted the guys who are struggling to build their portfolio, grow their portfolio, the guys who are just looking to get started in property investment, and it gives them an opportunity to learn those basics and learn what's required to get into the sector. So that's going to be all day Saturday. It runs from 9 until about 4 o'clock. It's a really exciting event filled with content, lots happening, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that one goes. So again, links are always in the chat box. Make sure you get involved in those, and if you have any questions, you can always drop an email to support@thepropertyacademy.co.za.
Yeah, I think let us know who's been in the one-day workshop. Is anyone watching this right now that's actually attended a one-day workshop with myself or Jade or Leroy? If you have attended that, just give us your feedback. For the people that haven't, what did you get out of the day? What did you enjoy the most? Just let us know what you got out of that day. Please, I'd really appreciate that feedback from you all. Cool. So, Dave, do we have any questions?
Yeah, 100%. There's some questions. Unfortunately, it looks like Facebook isn't putting through a few of the names to our program over here, but I'll quickly find a few. So Kerry has got a question for us. Good day. My question is, if I have a property in my personal name or company, does it increase my bond affordability? So Kerry, it would come down to how you're realizing that income, essentially. So let's assume that you first own it outright, you don't have a bond on it, and it's generating cash flow. If you're realizing that income correctly and you're declaring it correctly on your salary, on your SARS, then it will increase your affordability. You got more money flowing in, therefore the banks will see you as more affordable. However, you also got to remember that if you're getting a bond on that property, then that bond will utilize the amount of debt you're allowed to have in your name. Because of national credit regulation rules, you can only have a certain percentage of your affordability of your income to count towards your affordability. So there's a bit of a nuance to there, but yeah, generally, if you're getting the income correctly into your personal name, then you should be fine.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Cool.
Does Absa Future Rental Income do blocks of flats or only individual flats? Andrew, maybe you might know, but that feels like a Miguel question.
Yeah, sure. So I think when we use the word block of flats, remember, Absa Bank Home Loans will look at a block of flats, and this is the home loan department, not commercial. So they'll look at a block of flats up to 6 units in a flat. So providing it falls within the home loan department, they would look at the flats. Yes, they would, because it falls within home loans. And if you don't have the affordability and they see it as a home loan, they will take the future rental income of that small block of flats. But as soon as you go to, I think it's about seven or more, they see it as commercial, and therefore the home loan department goes, sorry, it's too big, it goes into commercial, and this whole future rental product they've got sits in the home loan department, not the commercial department. So it just depends how big that block of flats is.
Yeah, 100%. I think it was an interesting lesson I learned, and I think, Andrew, you weren't there because you had COVID. But one of the guys who pitched for Invest of the Year award, one of the ways they got around this is they actually bought each flat individually with a separate purchase agreement with separate bond finance. So that was one of the ways they managed A, affordability, and B, trying to get some future rental income from Absa, I believe was part of the goal. So there's ways around it, but obviously you need to just work with the banks and tell them exactly what you're doing, because they won't like it if you're trying to play them against themselves.
Definitely. Cool.
So,
here's a question about OTPs. Cool.
Gershwin's asking, Gershwin, good to have you back. Haven't seen you in a while. Gershwin has a 3-month gap to dedicate some time to focus on property investing. How does he structure his day and allocate his time? What's the best return on investment you can get in the short term?
Yeah. So, I mean, Dave, I guess I've got my opinion. I guess everyone's got their own opinion on this, but for me, what I used to do, Gershon, when I first started out, is I used to spend my Monday, Tuesday, and obviously you got your weekends as well. I used to spend my Monday, Tuesdays dedicated to property viewings. So I'd always try at the beginning of the week. So the week before, like on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, call the agents, and Monday, Tuesday, all I did was view properties. I just tried to fill my whole diary up. Mondays, Tuesdays. I then used Wednesdays, Thursdays for due diligence research. So I would take the photographs. I'll put out all my reports on the Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday morning came. This is when I used to be sourcing full time, and I'll just analyze deals. I'd look for comparables. I'd call agents, and I go, do you know what? These deals just aren't going to work. Sorry, Mr. Agent, listen, can't deal with those. Oh, these ones look quite good. I would then use Friday for 2 things. I'd use Friday for putting offers in. I'll just take that and ask him. I would then use Fridays for putting offers in. I meet the agents, hey, can you meet me? Can we fill the offers out? And I'll do all my offers on the Friday, as well as arranging viewings for Monday. So it depends what you want to achieve. If you want to fill the funnel, dedicate 2 full days. Try get out and do like 15 viewings a week if you can. That's that's like 60 deals a month. You're going to probably get rid of half of them. You're going to offer on the rest, and you're going to, but it's hectic. This is like, you must do nothing else, Gershwin, nothing else. Monday, Tuesday viewings, Wednesday, Thursday due diligence, offers, and then Friday offers, and then you keep rotating. That's just one thing I did when I first started out, and I got massive results out of it. Gershon, you can't do anything else. There's no time for any other business, any other focus. But if you want to really maximize it, that's what you can do. What do you think, Dave?
So I'm going to counter your point there. 100%. Drew's spot on. It covers all the bases in terms of if you want to fill out a funnel. I think there's also other ways that you could try and shortcut the sort of investment process. There's ways that you can work and leverage your time a little more efficiently. There's costs involved. At the end of the day, remember, it's like any refurb. If you want things to be done quickly, it's going to cost a little more. So what you can also look at is working with someone like the brokerage who's got a sourcing agency, and they can bring you investment grade deals. So then, Gershon, if you only got 3 months, and I'm assuming the next 9 months of your life is too busy for more viewings, maybe you work internationally, you work on contract like some other guys I know, then your best time is probably spent looking at the brokerage and talking to them and say, guys, what do you have at the moment that works? Because then you can focus on the next 3 months. If they've got a deal that works for you, you can focus the next 3 months on closing that deal and getting that deal across the line. Similar with the WealthPoint platform that we'll announce it and start launching it a little more officially in the next couple of weeks. But again, it gives you the opportunity for you to sit there, look at the investment opportunities that are available to you at the moment and make decisions on that now. So you're either going to go Andrew's route and do a little more DIY, get it yourself, and that's the best route. You'll get the best quality of deals, but you've also going to have a very good chance that you can spend 3 months and you might not find a deal. Whereas with the brokerage, they've already got deals ready to go for you.
So I
Drew,
think
looks like you want to disagree with me there.
No, I agree. So I agree. So part of your Monday, Tuesday. So on the Friday, you look at everything. Look at the Gazette. You'll look at assisted sales. You'll look at the network. Who's got deals in the network. So when I say your Monday, Tuesday are filled with viewings, it's filled with wherever they come from, and it could be deals coming to you. So it's exactly that, Dave. There's two ways. How do you get deals coming to you? Brokerage is one of them. People on network is another way, and you being proactive. But I guess it comes down to, does Gershon want to buy one investment deal? Does Gershon want to go source properties? And depending on how aggressive Gershon wants to be, will depend on, does he spend 2 days viewing properties or does he spend 1 day viewing properties? And I think if you can at least have 6 or 7 different ways of getting deals, whether it's you knocking on agents' doors, you putting flyers through doors, or you knocking on the brokerage door and they give you deals. I mean, there is no right or wrong, is there?
No, 100%. There's no right or wrong. It's however you can get deals into your funnel is really important. Wanted to share this comment real quick from Glenn Bentley. He attended the Wealth Builder last year and has acquired 2 properties since then. So great job, Glenn. You better be entering for Investor of the Year award. We want to see those deals that you guys are doing. We want to see how you guys are engaged. It's really cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Glenn. That's lucky, man. Let's get you into Investor of the Year. There was a question about OTPs I saw.
Yep, there it is. Can you fill out an OTP for a company to be formed if you're not going to be the director of that company?
The answer is yes, because I've done it.
The answer is yes.
Because you can take a director off, can't you? You can add a new director.
Yeah, so bearing in mind that from what you're trying to achieve when you do that OTP with a company to be formed, you're more worried about the shareholder than you are the directors. Because like Drew says, directors can move in and out fairly quickly. It's pretty easy to change a director. But what you need to be worried about is who owns the shares in that company. So if you're trying to source the deal onto someone, you might get them involved, and let's say I want to source a deal to Andrew. Andrew will come on board. We'll set up a company where Andrew is the shareholder, but I'm the director, so I can still act and get that contract over the line. And then once the deal's done, I resign as a director. Andrew owns the property outright, and that's one of the ways that you can do sourcing. It's not ideal, but you should. Make sure that you just double check with the attorneys, make sure it passes the legal tests. But that's essentially what you can do. And
also, Dave, a lesson I learned as well was, we did one of these, not to source on, but to flip, right? And we used, I'm trying to think, it was someone else's name was a director, and then we were the shareholders. But the banks wouldn't accept the OTP, they wouldn't go through. And then we lowered our shareholding, increased the direct, and we made the director a shareholder as well. No, banks didn't like it as well. We had to fully take ourselves off as shareholders and get the director to be 100% director, well, of course he is, and 100% or sole director, the 100% shareholder. As soon as we made all the changes, then the banks accepted it. Whereas like a year ago, we had done it where there's a director who could get the bond, and that's why we found someone that could get the bond at the time, and I could be a shareholder of that business. The banks didn't mind. So it also shows that different banks have different flavors. And I guess the answer to the questions also, or part of the conversation is, if the person's looking to source it, that's one conversation. Or is the person doing a JV with someone? It's another conversation. But I think, Dave, we both agree with the answers yes, but we probably need to go into a bit more detail there.
Yeah, the answer is yes with an asterisk. Speak to your attorney. That's always our answer, to be honest.
And the best person to speak to, and I mean this hand on heart, is Bruno, because Bruno has done so many of these transactions. Coming before, direct to shareholders, change it, move it, personal name to company and back, and it can get very complicated, but he's the best person to speak to.
Yeah, and I think maybe I want to expand on that. One of the reasons why we recommend Bruno is not because he's just an attorney; it's because he knows, like Drew says, he knows these transactions. The effort of learning property and how us investors think, that's where the work goes. Any attorney could do what we're talking about, but they're going to have too many questions. Where Bruno's going to come with an informed decision, a model that he's used in the past, and give that to you. So that's going to save you time and money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cool.
Motso's got a question. Can you recommend a builder contract? Yes, I can. He's here in Cape Town. He's fantastic. Sorry, I like to pick on these questions. When you guys ask for these recommendations, you need to be specific. What type of contractor, where? This is something, so we've been doing some research on what benefits the members want. This is one of the ones that's popped up a few times. So Andrew and I are working on a few things on the back end to see if we can get a contractor, supplier, service provider on your memberships. But we'll see what we can do over there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, so I think Khamort, let us know what area you're talking about. Same as Dave, I've got a builder here, but he won't leave Edenvale. And again, are you looking for builders? Are we looking for individual trades, electricians, carpenters, painters? That's a whole nother conversation. And yes, within the SAPN memberships, in a few months' time, you will see a difference or a change where we are going to help you as the members when it does come to contractors. Okay, cool. Glenn says, send me the list of the builder contractor. I have a plot in my personal use. We need to know areas that you're all talking about, please. It'll be great. If you have just joined us, Jesus, hop us one already. This is the Coffee Chat every Monday with Andrew and Dave. We love your questions, your support, and it's all about what's happening with us, what's happening with the Academy, what's happening, events are happening, because it is a very, very busy time. You got Alani there who's assisting us as well. Alani's going to help Khamotso over there. Please tag in a friend if you know anyone that's interested in property that wants to join, be part of the Premier event or the installment sale agreement event. I can see Tion is online there at the moment. There's a question there which we'll answer for you, Tion, a little bit later. And I think, Dave, because it's 1+1, quite a few people have just joined us. Take us through the events for the week, and let's come back to the questions.
100%. So quick high level. So guys, the link's always going to be in the chat box over there. So take a look at the chat box. Norcia, the team are posting those. Tomorrow night, Andrew's doing a webinar with Here in Front of Estes on installment sale agreements. How do installment sale agreements work? What's happening? What are the risks? What are the challenges? When is the right time to use an installment sale agreement? So that's tomorrow night, 6 to 7:30 to 8. It's going to be a really fun one. The Wednesday night, we've got a Premier event. We're going to be talking prop tech. We've got guys from Expello, Digs Connect, Preferential, and Wealth Point to talk about how technology is allowing you to grow and expand your portfolio. So that's a really nice event. That's Premier, so that's exclusive to our intermediate and professional members. Thursday night, Andrew and I are quickly running through prelims again for Investor of the Year Award. So those of you who have entered, prelims is coming to an end at the end of August. So there's only a few more slots for those to get done. But really exciting to be seeing the good deals that guys are doing. I've already got my chip on one or two guys who I think might take the cake. And I think we might start running an internal betting pool in the back end to see who we think might win.
Awesome.
Maybe that's not the right thing to do, considering I will count all the votes.
Yeah, exactly.
Be allowed to put a bid on who I think should win.
Absolutely.
And then last but not least, Wealth Builder, all day Saturday from about 9 to about 4 o'clock. That's going to be Leroy Slava hosting it. So for you guys who are looking to get into property, was it Glenn earlier? Yeah, so Glenn attended a while back. A few other guys have mentioned in the chat box that they've attended Wealth Builder in the past. It's a fantastic event for you guys who are just looking to get started in property, or you've got a portfolio and you're struggling to build it. That's what the Wealth Builder is for.
Excellent. So it's quite a busy week, Dave?
Yeah,
one of our busier weeks.
Yeah, I think it's end of month cram, essentially, trying to get the Premier events in there. Installment sale agreements. Also a nice one to have a conversation about.
Yeah,
but, hey, it's
going to be a very good week of content, though. Eh? It's going to be an awesome week. So make sure you're all aware. All the links are in the chat box there. And let me know, everyone, who thinks 2022 in Gauteng is going to be a buyer's market. I saw one of the comments there. Was it from Debbie? Asking a question about immigration, semi-migration, all of that. who believes that in Johannesburg there's going to be an oversupply? And who believes that it's going to become a buyer's market? Think of 2021, right? Or 2020, last year. Interest rates dropping, people thinking, wow, there's going to be this massive crash in property. But if anything, there was a boom. Prices went up at certain levels of the market, that is, right? And geez, I saw property selling for over market value in Joburg. And that was because interest rates dropped and the good renters started buying properties. People that just couldn't afford to buy a property could then afford to buy a property. And it's been like that for a while. Question is, how long will that last? So give us your opinion. Who thinks that in Joburg there's going to be an oversupply? Dave, what's your view?
I think that the last month politically has been very traumatic for South Africans. I think there'll be a lot of people looking to either semi-grade down to Cape Town, which means, yay, more Joburgs in my traffic. Thanks, guys. Please learn to drive.
Yeah. Or Durban.
I don't think Durban's going to get as much traffic as it used to from the semi-gration guys. Or they're going to be moving internationally. So I think that's definitely a sector. It does mean that it's probably the mid to higher end of the market that's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen in the most affordable stock. But we'll probably see an increase in rental demand in Cape Town. So if guys are in Joburg, they own a property like $1 million to $2 million, they're going to consider moving down to Cape Town. They can't afford a property in Cape Town, if I'm honest. So they're going to rent. So it's going to have a bit of an impact on the trends. And then we'll see what blending rates. I see Debbie asked us our favorite question: what do we think about prime? I think prime's probably going to go up. So I think affordability is going to feel like it's less likely in the coming months, in the coming years. So because people always compare it to this now 7% low, and they're going to be like, well, now it's 8%. We're going to wait to see if it goes down. So
exactly. I think we're still yet to see what the true effect of COVID and all these job losses we're seeing. I'm definitely seeing more and more stories of people immigrating, just hearing it. Just yesterday in that viewing, guy went back to Israel, he's going back to England, someone's moving from Joburg to Durban, Ballito. Just in general conversation, I'm hearing a lot of people that I personally know in Joburg are either going to Cape Town or Durban, or they're immigrating, they're moving. But still, Joburg is the hub. There's still a lot of demand in Joburg. Do I think there'll be an oversupply? Yes, but in the higher price bracket, I still don't think we're going to see an oversupply in your 600,000s, your 400,000s, your 800,000s. There's such a high demand for that type of property. So at a certain price bracket, maybe above the 2 million, above the 3 million, definitely going to see an oversupply, in my personal opinion. But I think if certain parts of Joburg, the demand is high. It really is high. So no, I think, and right now are there opportunities? There's great opportunities right now. But Dave, even before COVID hit, we saw some great deals happening in South Africa before COVID. Yeah. During COVID, we're seeing great deals, and next year there's going to be great deals. You've just got to learn, how do you find those deals? How do you get them coming to you? That's the key.
Yeah, I think it's a lesson that I've learned theoretically years ago, and I've seen it practically as an example here in South Africa, especially over the past year and a bit with COVID and everything. South Africa is a unstable economy, and I don't say that in a negative way, but it lacks stability, which means that there's a lot of opportunity for these things, because things go up and down so much. We've got those opportunities. Things change so quickly. Whereas if you look at a more established market like the UK, and there's a benefit to that as well, they're more stable, they're more steady in their ways. You're not going to see as much fluctuation as we do, which has its drawbacks if you want to build a long-term portfolio and have very low risk. But at the same time, it does give us as active investors a ton of opportunity. So for those guys who want to sit back and sort of watch their portfolio grow, it can hurt a little bit. For us who are actively looking for deals and trying to flip properties and switch strategies, it gives us a ton of opportunities regardless of what bad things are happening in the market, which is good to see.
Yeah, definitely. I must say, the price bracket 1.7, I'm just thinking of examples here in Edenvale. I mean, there's a seller who's asking for 2.2 million for a house, really good condition, lovely property, potential for a HMO, but I was kind of on the fence. I've now, last week, I've seen that he's dropped it he had dropped it to like 1.9, but I didn't hear about it. He dropped it to 1.7. Another house in the market for 1.7, not selling, they're dropping to 1.5. So if I just think of some of the actual properties that I'm seeing on the ground, I am seeing at that level some of the property prices coming down. So yeah, that's where we just got to be patient. But there's definitely deals out there now because unfortunately, because of COVID. I see Fred's just joined us. How's it, Fred? How's it going? Fred's one of my students, and we still need to have that coffee session, Fred. So we'll organize that.
Yeah, now that Drew's had the corona, he can start to see people face to face again.
I'm safe now. I've had it. Bloody
until
COVID.
Another variation comes. So cool. Back to a few questions before we call it for the day. Tian's asking, what's our view on student accommodation at the moment? Not sure if he should start at students or yuppies with the multi-let. So I think I'll give my feedback first, and then I'll pass to Drew, because obviously we've got two different market perspectives here. Being that COVID's made my world a little smaller, I've definitely been focusing in my Cape Town sector, at which point I find that student accommodation is still viable. The universities here are still requiring students to come on site. They're still requiring students to be in the area. So that hasn't changed the need for student accommodation. My student accommodations are all fully tenanted because my students have to be able to go in for tutorials and so on and so forth. Yes, they go to varsity far less, which means their internet usage is up, but that's fine. So that's, at the end of the day, for me personally, in my portfolio with my demographic of students, it's definitely not been a huge concern for me. There was some challenging times over there at the beginning of the year when we weren't quite sure when semester was going to start. But other than that, now that we're back, everything's pretty much fine. And I believe we're going back to classes in a week or so. So I'm expecting all my students to move in again this week.
Yeah. So Dave, I've always, even the UK, I had a few students, some Chinese students in my one HMO in the UK, but here in South Africa, I've always stuck to general working tenants and multi-lets. And I think, Tian, you've got to tread carefully with student accommodation sector in South Africa. I've had a few conversations with guys like Mohammed Gardi, right? He's very well respected in that market. And I've just asked them the question in the last couple of months. And, they're still optimistic about student accommodation, but their words are now, tread with caution. Don't just jump into it. You've got to know what you're doing in that sector. So should you look at it? Yes, I think you should still look at student accommodation. Just tread carefully. I mean, I know, Dave, of a few of our guys in the network that got into student accommodation, and they have now come out of student accommodation and they've converted their student accommodation into general multi-let, so general working tenants. So if you are to buy a student accommodation property, and yes, the figures will look good, great, but run the numbers as though, imagine in 2 years' time, something happens to the university or college and you don't get those rents anymore. Would it still work as a general multi-let? Would it still be positive cash flow? If the answer is yes, then yeah, maybe go take that risk. And if everything goes according to plan, thumbs up, you're happy, you're good, don't worry about anything. But if things don't go according to plan, can you convert back to general working tenants? That's my thoughts.
100% agree with you, Drew. I think, and the plus side is generally varsities are in areas where there's good employment as well. So you generally don't have too much of a challenge. As long as the numbers stack up, you should be good.
Exactly.
No, so always have a second exit, guys. Always.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Kerry's asking a nice practical question for us. If you get investor finance, does the investor send the money directly to the attorney or to your company?
Oh, there's no right or wrong, but my preference is always for it to go through the attorney's account, proper paper trail, have the right contracts in place. That's my preference. But I know so many investors that do just do it investor to investor. Doesn't make it wrong, but if you have a preference, Kerry, just do it through the attorney rather. Keep the paper trail and let the attorney lead that relationship. And yeah, so if something does go wrong, you just reverse it and go back to the attorney.
Yeah, I think from my side, I gauge it based off of the investor. A more experienced investor who's got a longer track record, I'm not too phased about him paying by an attorney because they're more mature. But if you've got someone who's doing their first loan or something like that and they're really new to the idea of angel investing, I would take it through an attorney and make sure that those records are there to just protect everyone who's involved, because it just removes any arguments, which is always good.
Yeah, definitely, man. Awesome. It's been a busy session. I see we've had loads of comments. So thanks you all for your support. Make sure that you do join us next Monday as well and let your friends and colleagues know about it. And just remember, for those of you that are part of Sapin or the Academy, If you do need support, there are support email addresses, as you've seen already, support at the Property Academy or support at SA Property Network. And make sure that you join us this week for installment sale agreements, the premier event, the prelim judging, which is awesome. If you've done a deal, please enter. There's only 4 weeks left for you to enter, and then we're closing prelims. And of course, the one-day workshop with Leroy on Saturday. So yeah, Dave, anything else?
Awesome. No, I think that pretty much covers us. Drew, guys, same time, same place. Andrew and I are always here Monday, 1 o'clock, unless we're both sick, which only happens once every couple of months. But yeah, pretty much it's always here. It's always here. It's always exciting. We're always here to talk to you guys. If we haven't got your questions, please do email support@sapropertynetwork.com, or you can join us at some of our other events. Andrew and I are running support webinars fairly often. There's masterminds, Q&As for the members. So I believe Andrew and I are doing a support webinar next week. So if we haven't answered your questions and need a little more time than an email, please feel free to join us. If you have one of the courses, you can join us on the support webinar next week. Cool.
Perfect. And with the Poppy Act, just very quickly, do we have a webinar on that?
Yeah, we do. It is happening. Give me a second. I don't have it open right now.
I just see someone is asking about it. Any way to get contacts of house owners? Oh, since the Poppy Act. Okay,
we have so we have TPN coming up. Peter Menon from TPN is going to be doing our webinar with regards to Poppy and how Poppy's impacted us and as investors. So that's the 4th of August. In terms of that practical question, I know Lightstone is working on some solutions. So my suggestion is keep up to date with the Lightstone news and the TPN news. They also do it, and they'll be able to give you the information.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Cool. Awesome, guys. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Thanks, everyone, and see you next. Well, I'll see you this week, and I'll see you Monday for the next coffee chat. Cheers,
awesome.
everyone.
See you guys.